Welcome back to Prep Station Government. Yes. Okay, let's have a recap of what we learned in the last class. We learned about constitution and constitutionalism. We were able to define constitution and constitutionalism. We're able to, to differentiate both of them so that we're not confused when we see questions concerning them. So before we left, we now got into a new topic, talking about the structure and the organization of government. So we're looking at the three arms of government. We're looking at the legislature. The legislature. So before I went for the break, I asked a question and I said, do you know that I asked you how many senators do we have in Nigeria? And I told you we have 109 senators. I said each state in Nigeria has three senators. Only Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, that has one senator, yes. So making it 109. So we have 109 senators and we have 360 Federal House of Rep members. 360 Federal House of Rep members. Yes, so with the Senate and the Federal House of Assembly, we call the two together National Assembly. They form the National Assembly. Okay, that's just by the way. Let's go to the next thing. Type of legislature. Type of legislature. Now we're looking at the bicameral and the unicameral legislature. Now, the bicameral legislature simply means that's what we have in Nigeria, the upper house and the lower house. The Senate is the upper house, the Federal House of Rep is the lower house. So we have, in the federal level, we have bicameral legislature, but at the state level, we have unicameral legislature, a single legislative arm at the state level. So let's go with our definition. It says bicameral legislature is defined as one in which there are two-chamber legislature. There's the upper house and the lower house. In some countries such as Nigeria and the United States of America, membership of the upper house and lower house is by election. Remember, we had the 2023 general election last year, February. Yes, you see, there was election for House of Reps, for Senate, Federal House of Rep, and all that. So that is what we're talking about here. Other countries that adopt bicameral legislature are Australia, Mexico, and so on. Now let's look at what unicameral legislature is all about. We said bicameral has two-chamber legislature. Okay. Unicameral legislature. This refers to a situation in which where there's only one legislative house or body that makes laws. This is a type of legislature in operation at the state level in Nigeria. Yes, at the state level in Nigeria, I told you earlier on, we have one legislative house. All the 36 states in Nigeria have a legislative chamber each. So examples of countries with unicameral legislature, we have Ghana, Sierra Leone, Gambia, Kenya, Cameroon, and so on. Okay, let's look at the meaning of the executive. Remember, we're looking at the arms of government. This is the organ of government that is responsible for implementing policies and is responsible for the day-to-day administration of the country. Examples of the executive arms of government. We have, the president, the governors, the commissioners, the ministers, yes, the civil service, yes, you heard me, the civil service, the armed forces, that is, we have the military, the Navy, Air Force, and so on. They belong to this category. They form the executive arm of government. So they are the ones responsible for the day-to-day administration of the country. Yes, okay. Functions of the executive. Make it fast. Implementations of law. Now, you may see a question like this. One of the functions of the executive is dash. They may give you all these options. Appointment of top officials, correct. Give assent to bills, correct. Preparation of budget, correct. What is the major function of the executive? Implementation of laws. That is the answer. JAM can bring out, UTME can bring out these 4 options. And you may be wondering, they do all these activities. The key job they do is to implement laws. Do you understand? Please, that is their primary function. So when you see such questions, whether for the executive or legislature or judiciary, they are asking you their primary function. The primary function of the legislature is to do what? Make laws. The primary functions of the executive is to implement the laws made by the legislature. All right, let's go. Meaning of the judiciary. The judiciary is the third organ or arm of government. And we see that primary function is the interpretation of the law. Yes, interpretation of the law states and applies. Okay, let's go with the definition again. The judiciary, as the third organ of government, is responsible for the interpretation of the laws of the state and applies the existing law to individual cases. It refers to the system of courts and judges in a country. The Nigerian court system is headed by the Supreme Court, which is the final court. Have you heard the word like the apex courts? Yes. We're talking about the Supreme Court. Okay. The next is the Court of Appeal. Besides, we have the High Court, the Sharia Court, the Magistrates Court, the Customary Court handles customary cases. Take note of this. Okay, let's look at the function. Can you see? Now, a question like this can come out in UTME. The primary function or the function of the judiciary. I won't put in the primary function. They can say the function of the judiciary. Now, all these answers are correct. But what is their primary function? Interpretation of law. So that is the answer. So we have judicial review. Yes, that is one of their functions. Settlement of disputes. Yes. Punishment of offenders. These are the duties, the functions of the judiciary. Now, there's another aspect we want to look at. Independence of the judiciary. Yes. Independence of the judiciary refers to the ability of the courts to discharge their duties without fear or favor or undue external influences from other organs of government. Yes. The judiciary can only perform their role as an impartial arbiter and protector of individual rights if it is independent of other government or of other organ of government. Yes. So this is very important. What we're saying, if the judiciary can be the last hope of the common man, it needs to experience independence. It needs to carry out judgment without fear or favor, without being partial. That's the word. Without being partial. So this is important. Independence of the judiciary. I would advise that you study more on this subtopic. Study more. Get questions about it, please. Okay. Yes, it's time to answer our questions. We're done with explaining the organs or arms of government. Now it's question time. Unicameral legislature is a common feature of dash. Is a common feature of what? The unitary system of government. Unitary system of government, that's just what we're saying. Please take note of this. Okay. 12 says, independence of the judiciary is pertinent because it accords the judiciary the power to dash. Determine a fixed term of office for the judges. No. Dismiss any judge who has breached the judicial code of conduct. No. Enable the judge to try and decide cases without bias. Please take note of this. Enable the judge to try and decide cases without bias. That's saying without fear or favor, without being partial. That's what we're talking about here. So the answer is C. Next question. The two chambers of elected national representative in Nigeria are called dash. This is simple. I've already said it when I was explaining the legislature. You know the answer. D, the National Assembly, the two chambers, the Senate and the Federal House of Rep, House of Assembly. So it's called what? The National Assembly. Okay. Now, this question. The Central Legislature of Nigeria became bicameral in dash year is in 1960. You know, we have the 1960 and the Independence Constitution. This was one of the features of the Independence Constitution. Yes. So when you see this question, you don't get confused. You go back to, okay, constitutional development post. This, you just go back. We're asking you, what are the features? These are one of the features. It was that constitution brought about the Central Legislature of Nigeria having a bicameral legislature. So the answer is A. It was in 1960. Okay. Under the presidential system of government, the legislature and the executive are dash. Look at this question. Okay. Before I answer this question, they're trying to ask you, okay, Nigeria practices a presidential system of government, is it not? Now, who are the people that make up the executive? Who are the people that make up the executive? The president is the head of the executive arm of government. You know that. So now the legislature, you have the Senate president and all that. So look at the question. It says, dash. A says, elected separately to a fixed term. Yes, they are elected separately to a fixed term. Remember, each of them, the last election we witnessed that we had the time for the presidential election. You see the ballot boxes for the president, for the Senate. They weren't even in the same time. Do you understand? So what we're saying is that they are elected separately and they have a fixed term. A fixed term. Well, how many years does the president carry out he's been elected? For 4 years. The same thing with the Senate. The same thing. So it's elected separately to a fixed term. A fixed term of 4 years. A fixed term of 4 years. Elected separately to an unfixed term is not true. So Nigeria has a fixed term. The president is 4 years. You can have another term, another 4 years. Do you understand? Appointed by the judiciary? No. The president is not appointed. He is elected. He is what? Elected. Appointed at the same time to an unfixed term? No. No. It's not a dictatorial system. No. So the president has a fixed term of office. Okay, next question. In most recent times, a seemingly workable solution to Nigeria's federal question is that of dash. State policing, no. Revenue allocation, no. Terrorism, no. Is restructuring the system. The answer is restructuring. We need to restructure the system. So that is the answer. Restructuring. Restructuring. Take note of that. Okay. What are the following reasons unlikely to necessitate the emergency of a federal system? It's not social factor or geographical factor, but political sovereignty. Political sovereignty. Political sovereignty, yes. That's what would necessitate the emergence of a federal state. Do you remember the definition of sovereignty? We've talked about it about the first time we had this class. We talked about sovereignty. Go back. So you see the types of sovereignty and factors of everything it entails and all that. Okay. In a parliamentary system, the executive is weak because, now what is the parliamentary system? Can you remember? We've also talked about this topic. Remember? The parliamentary system where the prime minister is a member. Remember? Can you remember? Yes. He's a member of the House, part of the parliament. Yes. So the answer is accountable to Parliament. He's accountable to Parliament. Yes, he's accountable towards Parliament. So take note of this. Government can be made responsible and accountable to its citizens through the following methods, except periodic change of government. Yes. If this government is not working, you look for another one. We vote another one that will work. Demonstration will not do much, no. Political education, the people need to be educated. They need to know their rights. They need to know the duties they owe the government and the duties the government owe them. Public opinion, they need to share their thoughts. So the answer is B. Demonstration wouldn't do much. If government knows the mind of its people, of the people the people that are governed, they will know, they will map out policies that will do what? Favor the people. So B is the answer. Demonstration. Demonstration will not do much. Will not do much here. Okay, let's go to the next one. The supreme power of a state to make and enforce laws within its jurisdiction is called dash. What's running in your mind? Can you remember the definition? Yes, you got it. Sovereignty. Sovereignty. Remember sovereignty? The definition of sovereignty: having powers within your own environment without interaction, without interruption from the outside world. I just paraphrased that. So our answer is sovereignty. Nigeria is a sovereign nation because she takes decisions on her own, with or without. She doesn't need outside interference to make decisions that will favor her people. Okay, well, we're going to go for a short break and we'll be back. So please take care and be good. See you soon.